Hey, what's up, you guys? Johnny Beane here. This is exclusively Van Halen, the Van Halen Show on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Hey, if you guys like Van Halen, this is the place you want to be right here. So let's do a show. It is it's Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. Where's the time going, man? Oh my gosh. All right, well, it's time for a show. So let's do a show. Here we go.
Hey, this is Michael Anthony right here, and you are watching exclusively Van Halen on the Johnny Beane TV. Keep it there. Woo! See ya!
Hey, what's up, you guys? Johnny Beane here. This is exclusively Van Halen, the Van Halen Show on YouTube. And look at this. Steve Rosen. What's going on, man?
Steve Rosen in the house. How you doing, Johnny?
There he is. Man, the last time I saw you would have been NAMM show. And I remember I got to sit in for that really cool interview that you did.
Oh, that's right.
With NAMM.
That's right. That's right. We just happened to 18,000 people there, and you and I run into each other, of course. Yeah, that was that interview with Dan. Just going to shoot. Dan Del Fiorentino. Something like that. Yeah, he was like the archivist. He'd interview all the, the amazing musicians who would be coming by, and he kindly extended an invite. And yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Fun doing that. Yeah. The show in general was pretty fun. Getting back to where it used to be, kind of pre-COVID and all that stuff, but. It was great, and the first time I'd ever had a booth there, and had a chance to meet some people who actually already had the book, which is so cool, to meet those people and shake hands and stuff. So that was fun. Yeah, but that was the last time we ran into each other.
Yeah. NAMM shows.
Yep.
NAMM shows, and yeah, I think it is getting back to how it was. I mean, nothing like in the 70s and 80s when you were going. Nothing like that, but still pretty cool. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was pretty fun. I never realized how loud it really was in there, because typically, and I was going, just to go check out the show, or guitar player had sent me. I honestly, I typically went on a Saturday, and I'd go with my brother Mick, and we'd hang out for 4 or 5 hours. And it's like, okay. But you're there for the 3 days it was, man, from, opening until closing. Man, it is seriously loud. It's funny because they had like that new dB rule, nothing over 118 dB. Like there was some guy walking around checking every booth like he could. I mean, one booth would bleed into the next anyway. So it was way louder than 118 dB in there. But yeah, it was fun. It was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great time. And do you think maybe next time, or you're going to have a booth again?
That's a good question. I think I would do it again. Because the booth I got, and I shared it with my buddy Tris Mahaffey, who builds these very cool little boutique Mahaffey amps. We shared the smallest booth, which is 10 by 10, and when you kind of lug in a couple, cabinets and a couple heads and, a couple boxes of books. There's not a whole lot of room. But beyond that, because it's the smallest booth, you're not going to get like an A spot, on the floor. the where we were wasn't bad. It was sort of at the end, so you could find us coming up and
You know
down.
what's I just thought of this.
Yeah,
I remember when we went in. Remember we went in like beforehand, and we got to go and check out the spot.
yeah.
I just realized when we went in and we saw that you had like flipped the table around or something, right?
Oh, we did. You're probably the only one who would know that. Yeah, they did. We were actually going to be on the other side. I think we were in like a space or something. You're right. But for some reason, the person, when it was flipped on the other side of the curtain, which divides like the two rows, that person didn't show up or they didn't sell that spot. So they did allow us to move around. And I think they actually did give us like, not much more, but a little bit more, square footage on each end. But yes, we did switch spots. But I thought at first where we were was going to be cool because we were kind of on the end, and again we were at the nexus of two intersections. I go, oh, that'd be cool. It tended to be a little quieter than if you were in the heart of that huge room, the D room, where all the amp companies and all the hip guitar companies are. It also would have been infinitely louder because it was really loud out there on the on the fringes. So I can imagine being inside. But yeah, hopefully next time if I did it, and I think I would do it. You might have a little bit of a say, hey, we did this last time. We want to be, put us next to Marshall amps or something. I don't know, But yeah, it's funny. They've already sent out pre-registration. Register now, and you get to. I don't even know what they knock off, a few bucks. The reality is, the NAMM show is expensive. And what you have a lot of those big box companies doing is, why should we go and spend all that money? Because it's really funny. For those bigger companies, it's not really about them selling the gear there. It's not like obviously they're there to sell gear, to take orders, but I think it's kind of showing everybody, showing their retailers, hey, this is the new line of Fender, this is the new line of Marshall, hey, we're, bringing back the Jubilee edition, blah, blah, blah. And it's more kind of a marketing thing than a sales thing. And I think those companies have said, hey, we're spending lots of money, and it is lots of money. Those bigger spaces. I looked. I saw they were. They're like $25,000 or something. They're insane. And when you think about cartage and bringing all that stuff in, and people are coming from the UK, and it's an expensive
everywhere.
So they say, well, why should we spend it on that? Let's just go spend it. Marketing at home, and let's do that kind of thing. So part of me understands that.
Yeah, and it's a totally new world now. There's this thing now called the internet, which I just heard about. Total brand new thing, and you got people like me coming in there and showing exactly what's there. I think it's a totally different mindset now, but it's definitely cool. And I was glad to see that you had a booth there, and looking forward to next year too.
No, it was great, and you're right, man. Since the internet came in, man, you have. You almost don't even have to be there, but you do have to be there. But man, pre-internet, I think that's also why you had all those huge companies coming, because they had to be there. How else were they going to showcase that stuff? They could showcase it in magazines, I guess, or I suppose they could have put out videos. Where were you going to see a video? So yes, it's entirely different. I'm just happy to see that people are still buying guitars and drum kits. I've had this conversation with my brother. How many? Think theoretically, you could own one guitar for a lifetime, right? I mean, it's not like the guitar is going to wear out. Yes, the fretboard's going to wear out. You put a new fretboard on, or put in new pickups. But I mean, it's not like, it's not something disposable. So it's like, I've often wondered, well, who is buying all these new guitars? I mean, I'm ecstatic to see it, and drum kits and basses and keyboards, and I think I looked at the number of guitars that come out for all the companies. I could be getting this wrong, but I thought it was like 1 million guitars a year, or 1 million guitars a year get sold. And I was astonished by that. I mean, I think that's a huge number. But yeah, it was great to see all those people walking around, and guitar companies there, and new lines of guitars. And, as you said, man, yeah, now there's a whole section for all of that internet gear and video stuff and podcasts and microphones dedicated to that, and so, yeah, man, definitely a new world.
That's the future. I mean, that's what the president of NAMM told us. We went to this private party last year. A lot of us were invited to, and he had said, "Hey, we appreciate what you guys are doing, getting the word out with the NAMM show. It's a totally different thing now, and for us that play music, that like guitars, like gear, it's like a candy store,
Yeah, no, absolutely, no. There was some cool stuff there, to be sure, Yeah, I wanted to trade somebody a book for a guitar, but I couldn't get any paper.
Well, maybe that's the next step. Steve Rosen guitars.
Yeah, play it and don't sound like Steve Rosen. Yeah.
Well, hey, let's say hello to some people here. You guys, we're live, as you can see, and here on YouTube, we have channel membership. In the top tier of channel members, they get their names read at the top of every talk show. They are currently Music Therapy Laz, Majestic PB and J Cat, Woody B Real, Flipper Carlin, CC, Bay Area Rich, Sherman Callahan, Nova 9, Warlag, R Habs, and of course Janice Lala the intern. Steve, do you have an intern?
You're kidding me, right?
Do you have one?
Only you big time guys have interns.
I have an intern.
Whoops. I know you do.
There we go.
That's great. Great. There's a part of me that would have, would love to have found somebody who could kind of do all that stuff I don't know how to do. I really don't know how to do it. Honestly, the social media thing befuddles me. They're not interns. They're really more friends. But, my friend Chris Mello, who's a monster Van Halen fan, and Chris actually just moved to Nashville from San Diego a little while ago. He helps me with all my Instagram stuff. And my great friend Adam Roach, who's in Australia, and he helps me with all my YouTube stuff, So I can just kind of send them stuff, and they put it up, it would have been cool finding somebody who could have, sort of done all the day-to-day. I reached out to a bunch of people. Hey, I'd love to do your show. Hey, I'm a writer, blah, blah, blah. But, at the end of the day, no one's going to work as hard as you. So, I don't know. It's all good.
Yeah, Janice. My intern says you got to look at it. You will die. What? Look at what? I don't know what she's talking about. Van Halen Lyrics over on X says, thank you, Steve, for all you've done to bring Van Halen closer to the fans. So I say, rock on. Very cool.
Thank you for that, Van Halen Lyrics. Very cool.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Scott, channel member, he's talking about a showcase. I think he's talking about NAMM show. Let's see. Mark's Gas Station is saying greetings. Hello, Mark. Peggy is eating supper. Supper's good. Let's see. Jamie says greetings from Norway. Jamie's
Wow.
working the night shift. There you go. Jeff T, channel member, says, what's happening? Brian Davies says hello to Steve.
Hey, Brian.
Yo. Jeff T, yo. All right. So, let's see. So you've got the book, Tonechaser, 3rd edition. Still, is there a 4th? Is there a 4th coming out?
Third. Let's get to the 3rd one.
Is the audio version of that considered an edition?
No, I mean, I don't consider it an edition. So so while we're here, so there are 2 audiobooks. So the first audiobook was basically Tonechaser, it was the hardback. So I did the narration, and then instead of me doing the whole narration and narrating Edward's parts, I thought, no, I'm going to use Edward's, actually, the interviews I did with him. So the first volume 1 is what I call it, is me doing narration, and then all those interviews you're reading in the hardback, those are embedded with the actual audio I recorded with Edward back in the day. And then the second one, which I call Van Halen's Voices, and it's called that because there's a chapter, I think it's the last chapter in the book, or almost the last chapter. It's called Van Halen's Voices. And that's sort of like the little oral narrative section where, there's some comments by Ozzy, there's comments by Michael Anthony and Dave and Alex. And, I can't remember who's in it. But those are, so that's what that second volume is. And some stuff that you've put on my YouTube thing, the Alex Van Halen, that multi-part interview with Alex back in the day, and some other stuff. I was originally going to actually use the actual audio from all those interviews, instead of me narrating all that stuff, but I thought that'll just take a lifetime to get through. It's too much to do. And my friend, Adam, as I mentioned, he does all that stuff. That would have just meant a hell of a lot more work for him. So I read all that stuff myself. So, yeah, but those are the 2 audiobooks. But no, I don't consider them an actual edition.
So the print editions, the actual hardcover editions are considered editions.
Exactly, and we're in the 3rd edition now. Yeah.
This one, right?
That's the one.
This one right here.
Yeah, the great photo by Niels Lozar.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun going to the was it the Book Soup event?
Oh yeah,
in Hollywood. Neil was there. I streamed the entire thing on my channel, so it's available.
You did. And you drove all the way from your freaking house in pouring torrential rain. I mean, it hasn't even come close to raining that hard since then. And what is that? Is that 3 years ago this past January? I know it's been 2 years. And I know it was in January, so I think it's been 3 years.
Oh, man.
That was...
At least.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was nervous as hell, to be honest with you. Book Soup is... it's one of the greatest independent bookstores left anywhere. I mean, the entire country. And, the fact that they've had so many amazing writers do... Q&As and reading little sections of their book. Yeah, I used to go there so often, and just spend all kinds of money. I mean, their selection of books is amazing, So, yeah, I was pretty nervous. But it was fun. Definitely fun.
Yeah, we had a great time. And if you guys want to check it out, there's the link right there. Oh, it says January 23 is when that was.
Oh, so it's 2 years ago.
So 2 years. So this January will be 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So check that out, and make sure you guys subscribe to Steve's YouTube channel. There's the link right there. You've been posting a lot of cool stuff. You just did a Paul Gilbert interview.
Yeah, that was great because it was a video. You know, I wish I had done more videos, but you know, it's out of my control. I mean, you know, that was actually done. I think it was done for an online guitar mag. I don't think it ever ran though. And they wanted to run video, but yeah, that's Paul's little studio. Paul had a little studio sort of in North Hollywood. And, I mean, he was so great, so gracious, you know, the guy's a freaking riot, you know, his sense of humor, and, you know, he's playing and doing stuff, and pulling cables out of boxes. Yeah, that was great. That was fun. Yeah, but I have tried to up the, you know, the amount of stuff I'm putting up. You know, I just have so much. I mean, yeah, it's really endless. I mean, I could be put stuff up for the next 10 years and I never get through it. But there's also a cool Steve Vai interview that went up that I originally did for Rock Gods. And Rock Gods was a project that a girl, Cindy Landine, started. And somehow we had connected, and so I was sort of one of the co-founders, but really it was all Cindy. She put it together. And her idea was to celebrate the more unsung musicians, you know, around. Not to diminish their talents at all, because a lot of these guys are as important as, you know, the guys who get all the limelight, but just kind of to shine a light on some of these lesser known musicians, a lot of studio guys and producers, kind of thing, you know, maybe like rhythm guitar players and things like that. But Steve Vai was one of the inductees, and so I went to Steve's studio, and that's where that one takes place. And that was an amazing conversation. And it actually had gotten taken down because there was some live content in there, and whoever the powers are, YouTube or the record label, I don't know who they took it down. And I've had people say, "Oh man, wish the Steve Vai, video could go back up." So again, I reached out to my friend Adam, and he took out all that live content. So it's up on my site, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, certainly we talk about Steve the musician, but it's also Steve the you know, he's an analyst and he's a psychiatrist, and you know his life lessons. I mean, it's pretty cool. And yeah, there's some other stuff coming up. Look for a Tommy Shaw interview. It was very cool. Richie Sambora interview. Just put up Arthur Lee from Love. It's one of my favorite bands. I think it's one of the great unsung songwriters of all time. So yeah, there's some pretty fun stuff over there. So go check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, so head on over to Steve's YouTube channel, subscribe, and tell him that I sent you.
Exactly.
So the other day I was on, Instagram, I'm everywhere, Instagram, you're there, right? TikTok, X, all that stuff. And I see a post from this auction house, and it says the Steve Rosen, I guess, Van Halen collection.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So I haven't really looked at it. I wanted to wait. I wanted to be surprised. So we've got it right here. So how long? Well, first of all, how long is this running, this auction?
So I believe the auction began, I want to say a couple days ago. I thought it began on this past Sunday, and I believe it runs through the 13th. I know it was at least a week. I thought it was 8 days. So there's still several more days.
Mm-hmm.
Backstage Auctions is like one of the premier auction houses for all things rock. I mean, they've had remarkable collections from everybody. They just did Alex's collection. When Alex Van Halen sold his drums. I mean, they've done everybody. I mean, heavy people. And I've known Jacques for many, many years. And so I had been collecting Van Halen memorabilia for a while. When I was working on the book, when I was working on the original one, when I was working on Edward's original biography back in 1986, he had given me carte blanche to go over to the Van Halen offices over on Sunset Boulevard and go through their filing cabinets, which I immediately jumped on. And, so I was in there, and I mean, honestly, I wanted to back up a freaking truck. I just wanted to take the filing cabinets out, I mean, I jest, but I don't jest too seriously. I mean, there was so much incredible stuff. I think about it now. It's like, dude, why didn't you take that and take that? I wanted to go through people's desks because I think a lot of times I was there. There'd only be like one person there, and I don't think they even knew who I was. I was like, I'm gonna go see what's in this other room. I'm kidding about that. So I had taken a bunch of stuff. Well, I didn't. I mean, Edward said, "Hey, man, just take whatever you want." So there was a bunch of contracts. So you're going to see some really cool contracts here. Some riders, and for those who don't know, though, you are all experts out here, but the rider is basically the conditions of the gig. So you're going to have meatball sandwiches. You're going to have beer and wine. The stage is going to be 30 feet long. You're going to have 100 lights, blah, blah, blah. I mean, everything is laid out in detail. And that's the one with the famous brown M&Ms, right? And it's there, and there's a couple of those riders in there that are pretty cool. And then over the years, I obtained collections. I had a pretty cool guitar pick collection that I just sold, online myself and stuff.
Yeah.
And some various other stuff, a couple other signed items. But the bulk of it is here. I thought, well, I mean, part of selling that kind of stuff is cool, and part of it really is a grind. I mean, like anything else in life, nothing is easy, but you got to take good pictures, and then people say, well, where did it come from, and this and that, and and it's and then you got to box it up, or make sure it's safe and ship it out, and hope, God forbid, it doesn't get lost somewhere or damaged, if it's that kind of thing. Yeah, man, it's kind of a grind, So doing an auction, obviously the auction house takes its cut, but they do everything. You're talking, Johnny, you saw the posts on Instagram. I'm sure they post it everywhere. And, they do everything. They market, they ship out the stuff, and, they take their cut, and fair enough. So, so I had a fair amount of stuff left, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give my friend Jacques a shout and send him the rest of the Van Halen memorabilia. And there's some cool stuff. There was some very cool stuff. Part of me was tempted to keep it, and it's like I didn't know where to, at what point do I stop keeping everything, or sell everything. So it's basically I just sell it all, So let other people kind of enjoy it and get something from it.
So this is the collection then, right?
Yeah.
This is everything.
Everything that I had left.
Everything that you had left.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a couple of things that he signed to me personally that I've kept, but there's some other stuff that are just signed that I got from other people, and that stuff's in there. So yeah.
Let's see. Well, again, this is Backstage Auctions, and yeah, we know Jacques. We had him on the show for the
Ah,
Alex Van
yeah,
Halen for the Alex Van Halen auction.
yeah, yeah. So why don't we run through a few of these items,
Yeah.
Johnny?
Is
Um,
there is there anything you want us like to jump right to, like that you know of
Honestly,
that's here?
I can't even remember. But just looking at these are all cool items we're looking at here anyway. Um, so this
You
is
got
an original one of their flyers from '76, and these are they're pretty rare. I mean, who knows how many they had printed up, back in the day. I mean, a few hundred maybe, I'm guessing. And, they'd go and they would, literally flyer every, stop sign and lamppost and telephone pole
hmm
up and down Sunset Road.
windshields.
I mean,
They
that's
would
what
go
they
to
did.
they would go to concerts at say like bigger
Yeah,
like the LA
right,
Forum or whatever, and they would
right,
put them on like car windshields and stuff.
right, right. So this is pretty
So
cool.
so pretty
$3,
rare.
$3 to get in, 50 cents off at the flyer, which means I wonder if you had to turn in the flyer or just show it to them. Because you turn in the flyer and you get 50 cents off for a flyer that's now worth $800. You know what I mean? But, yeah, funny.
It's pretty wild.
So,
That's
so what's
cool.
interesting, and I've never heard anybody talk about it, is who took that photo and how did they agree to that photo? I mean, Mike's not even in the picture. You can barely make out Dave and Alex. So it's not. We're not talking about high quality here, but still, man, it's pretty amazing. You can see Edwards Marshalls and
Yeah,
the
and
Explorer.
playing the Explorer there.
Yeah,
And this was what 76? It said 1976.
76,
So this is still pretty early on.
pretty early. So they haven't even started playing the script yet, right? I don't think that would happen. Close. I think they started playing 77. I think if I have my chronology right, but. Yeah, and Eulogy. I forget who was in Eulogy, but there was another really good guitar player in Eulogy. They used to play all over as well. And that little white spot you see there, that's a little blemish. I think it was, I think it was glue. And there's one on the other side of that
Ah,
picture. In fact, you can see what that other one is. If you look closely, can you
yeah,
see that it's right?
yeah.
Somebody
You
taped a guitar pick on it.
can see the
I
outline.
didn't. So what moron did that? I'm going to shoot you. But yeah,
It must have been a Headwinds guitar pick or something, 'cause it's right above where it says Headwinds.
that could have been.
And Eulogy. It was
The
a
head was,
Headwinds and Eulogy guitar picks.
yeah, well, now if one of those guitar picks was still on there, then we'd be talking. But,
It looks
yeah.
like there was several. It looks like there was one, two, and there's one down here. Three.
Yeah,
There was three picks, and we're just assuming it was Van Halen picks, right? Probably, but who knows from when?
exactly.
What if they were from that night? Imagine that.
Amazing.
Very cool. Yo, Brandon. What's up, Brandon over on Facebook? Says, hey, Johnny Beane, this is a great episode. Shout out to you and Steve Rosen.
Hey, Brandon.
Right on, man.
Raymond asked
That's,
if I kept a scan of the flyer. No, man, I didn't. I actually had pictures of everything because I was when I was going to sell this stuff. Obviously I needed pictures, but no, I don't have a scan. It's a one of a kind. So yeah,
wow.
yeah, man.
Let's see. So that's a 1976 original Pasadena flyer. You got a 1978 Black Sabbath European
Yeah,
tour
that's pretty cool.
program.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, I never saw that one.
Pretty cool.
You got
Those
some
are really
passes.
Yeah, those backstage passes, man. Those are from the first tour with Journey, and I think they're both Journey. I've never seen those anywhere else before.
Wow.
So funny, man. It has Journey and Ronnie Montrose, and it doesn't even have Van Halen on there. I thought that was so great. And you can see that obviously that was a typewriter. I mean, I recognize a typewriter, and that was a manual typewriter. I can tell you, I recognize how the keys hit because I used to use a manual typewriter, believe it or not, when I first started writing. An Underwood that belonged to my mother. I love that typewriter. But yeah, man.
Wow. So, vintage stick-on backstage passes, spring '78, when Van Halen opened for Journey and Montrose.
Yeah.
Very first nationwide tour, it says. So that's cool.
Very cool.
Let's see. You got a '78 Texas Jam guest pass.
See, that's weird. So that has a bid of $121. So weird that'd be 121. I think at a point in time I don't know how they're incrementally how you have to bid, but I'm guessing you could probably bid $1 more. Somebody probably bid 120. Somebody bid 121. I'm guessing. But so this 1978 Texas Jam program. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a guest pass. I'm sorry. I thought it was a program. I thought, how could that be more money than the first tour program? But it's a pass. Oh, it's a pass. Very cool. Very cool pass for sure.
Yeah, these are definitely rare because
these are old.
I was a huge Van Halen. It's too bad I didn't know you 30 years ago because I was a huge Van Halen collector, and like a lot of I've never seen any of this stuff. You know?
These are pretty obscure.
Never seen this.
So here's
Black
three
Sabbath.
more passes from '78.
Second tour with Black Sabbath. So do these even say Van Halen on them? No.
They don't even say Van Halen. Is that unbelievable? I think that's so great. And I'm sure by the end of that tour it said Van Halen and barely said Black Sabbath. But,
Mm-hmm. So, and these are great too because Black Sabbath fans can bid on this stuff too.
Well, exactly. Man, those are, I've never seen them before. Yeah, so that last one does say Van Halen there.
Oh, with the type. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, that's a manual typewriter. You can see that it like they had to like hit it like a couple times. St. Pete there, whatever that is, because it wasn't, the type wasn't, print wasn't dark enough.
Mm-hmm.
Funny.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely rare stuff. Oh, and there's Adam. Hey, Adam. Adam's here.
There he is. Because I was here doing a podcast, Adam. What are you doing, pal?
Does he message you all day?
He bothers the hell out of me. No, he doesn't. So, Adam, I think it's. I can never get it right. I think it's like 9 or 10 in the morning for him, or something, or it's later in the day. So this is when he typically.
Might be tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
It might be tomorrow for him.
Definitely tomorrow. But this is when we typically talk to each other because he's up and stuff. All right, this is when his day is, I wish you could get it together, Adam. Get your time thing right. Come on, dude.
Just have him move in with you.
What's that?
Just have him move in.
Yeah, exactly.
He says it's Wednesday there. Oh, it's almost 11 in the morning there, Wednesday.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Cheating. And
Let's
that's
see.
just some color photo, 8x10s. I don't know who shot those. They're pretty cool photos. I just had them. I don't even know where they came from. So.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember. Well, back in the late '80s, these magazines would have you would order like rock photos, and they were just prints of like this, like photos and
Yeah.
stuff. And I still have some.
Huh.
I still have some of those. Very cool. Let's see. You got some 1979 Ford vintage backstage passes. That's cool. You got.
Yeah, those are cool too.
You got some
5 tour programs. I would think that those probably are less rare. You've kind of seen some of those around. Still pretty cool. I think that 1984 one in the right corner, I think it's just like a big fold out. I don't think it's actually like a bound program type of thing.
Nah, it turns into a poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, the California World Music Festival. I never saw that one. The Diver Down one I had. The Memorial Day '83 I never had. O812 I had, and the '84 poster I had.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the O812 one I got at the show itself. That was the first time I saw them.
Oh, really?
So this one I bought at the show, and it was pretty incredible. Very cool. A scarf?
Yeah, there was some stuff. Again, I don't know where I got that from, but I think it's European. I think it says England or UK or something, in little print and on the backside or something. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that small print there. I don't know if you made in England. Yeah,
there you go. There you go. That's really neat. Yeah, and that I never saw that.
No, I've never seen one.
Wow, man, you have some amazing stuff here.
Oh, so there's the 1980 Rider with the brown M&Ms.
Oh, cool. One of the greatest pieces of vintage Van Halen touring history. An original 22-page contract rider.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
No way.
Yeah, so 22 pages of, you can see, well, that's just the crew, but you can see how in-depth those writers were. You're talking about a Van Halen concert. Every single thing.
There you go.
And where's the brown M&Ms?
There it is. Assorted chocolate candies were available, 3 pounds. Plain M&Ms, no brown ones.
And it's unbelievable. I've been backstage. There's enough food at in these backstage areas, to feed many more people than will be dining at that table. 3 pounds of potato chips. That's a lot of bags of potato chips. How much is a bag of potato chips cost? Like 8 ounces. But and also, if any of you were thinking about bidding on this, that red circle is on a computer. That's not on the
cartoon.
Exactly.
So that's not actually on the actual thing.
Exactly, because the Backstage Auctions circled that. They now owe me the price of a freaking rider. So I'm kidding.
But if anybody wins this auction, you can circle that yourself when you get it.
I'll happily circle it. They can send it to me. I'll even sign it for them.
Oh man! So no brown M&Ms, but chocolate chips are allowed.
Yeah, it was actually no brown M&Ms.
Yeah.
It wasn't brown M&Ms only. But you look at all these other things here. I mean, 9, not 10, not 5, but 9 dozen bath-sized cloth towels. Who's going to use 9? What is that? 108 bath-sized cloth towels. I mean, what are you going to do? Clean the floor? And look at this: 6 dozen dark color, 3 dozen white, all pre-washed and lint-free. So you can't even bring them in new. You have to wash them. It's unbelievable, man. And so what year was
Very
this?
important.
Ryder Johnny?
What year was this? This is it says 1980.
So by 1980, they could basically demand anything they wanted.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at that. Tablecloths, 300 paper napkins, 4 large bars of soap, 10 packs of Marlboros, 10 packs of Winstons. And the Winston has to be a soft pack.
Isn't that unbelievable? For Edward.
Wow. So cool, man.
Pretty amazing.
There we go. Oh, I see. There's 2 pages, and one of them has the stuff circled. See how it does that? So they did that just on one on.
Oh, I see. So you know that it's not on the
last. Yeah. See, because when I switch in between, that circle goes away.
Gotcha. So you're the one messing it up. Come on, Johnny. What the heck?
Wow.
Yeah, if we could read that, we could see.
It's a little fuzzy.
Yeah, I mean, you can see. I mean.
Oh, it's the table of contents. Yeah.
All the parameters, and if it's overtime, there'll be stage, there's lighting, there's sound, there's security, there's it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Wow. So you got band and management pass from 1980. You got a lot of radio station
I don't even
promotional.
remember that one.
Wow.
Holly Lewis. Hi, Holly.
Holly.
These luggage tags are pretty cool. Go back down, Johnny. Right there, the top. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought those were great.
Very cool. VH Productions. 6565 Sunset. So was that the office?
That's our office. It was in a little complex called something of the world. They had a globe on top that would spin. Crossroads of the World. And there was a lot of offices in there, and a little mainly offices. And so 6565. I think the whiskey was 8,000 something. So it's about 15 minutes east down Sunset Boulevard from the whiskey and Rainbow and all that stuff. I just thought those tags were so cool,
Yeah. Like I said, I'd never seen any of this stuff. Amazing. Wow.
And scroll up. I'm sorry. Go back a second.
Same one?
Sorry, yeah. And scroll down a little bit. Down a little farther. Yeah, so obviously 33. You know, that's a mistake. It says 33,000. That is 3,300.
Oh,
I was there many times. So that's Warner's. Obviously, that's where. God, that is funny. Wow, had I known that, it's like it's like a misprint on a penny. It's no longer worth a penny. Now it's worth about $8,000. Wow, that's incredible. I never noticed that before. Hey Jacques, I want that one back. But yeah, so 3,300 Warner, was obviously Warner Brothers Records, and there's this beautiful little facility there. It's like all glass and polished wood. And I did a lot of interviews there. Never interviewed Van Halen there, but was there a lot. It was fun. I mean, it was like a community of of writers and publicists and management. It's like it was like a common goal. You wanted to get a story so you could, you wanted an interview so you could go write a story for a magazine and earn a living, and they wanted coverage of their artist, and it just worked great. Yeah, I mean, the internet really changed everything, because you and I can now be however far apart we are, how many hundreds of miles, and we don't have to be in the same room anymore. So changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It says we have 127 watching right now. So.
Really?
Very different world. Yeah.
Well,
129. 120. No, watching this show right now.
Wow, unbelievable.
120. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
This second one.
This one?
Yeah.
Correspondence folder.
Yeah.
A treasure trove for Van Halen collectors.
Keep going. Again, it's hard to see, but this is all the stuff that I purloined from the Van Halen office. I mean, this is like, these are like inter-office memos going back and forth. There's some pretty inside stuff here. And again, I think there's a couple collections of this type of memorabilia, but some of it's talking about, well, we were approached by some radio station, I can't remember exactly, who wants to use Jump as a theme song, and should we do that, or other things, And this manila envelope, again, it's hard to read. I think a lot of these were like Dave's expenses, literally going to the, buy pizza, or I think he bought some clothes. I mean, this stuff is really amazing. I mean, there's actually handwritten notes in here. Show Lights was their big company, show lighting company, they work with. And so there's all this correspondence going on between them and the lighting company. I think like the Ryder, not a Ryder, but Ryder, RYDER, the trucking company. And hey, can we do this? And hey, it's this much. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Really, really cool stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they went to a camera store, and bought all this stuff. I mean, receipts from restaurants. I'm telling you, man, I should have had like one of those garbage bags, and I should have just emptied the freaking file desks into the bag.
You should have been a garbage man.
Exactly.
Garbage people, man. Who knows how much amazing stuff they have at home.
I bet they find amazing stuff for sure.
I kind of did the same thing years and years ago. I was hanging out outside the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, where Late Show David Letterman was. This was in wow, this was 31 years ago, and I dumpster dived into their dumpster outside the theater, and I still have the stuff. I got to find the stuff. I have like stacks of like their office stuff. It's all Late Show stuff of them like writing jokes and all that type of stuff.
That's great.
I got to find that stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, you can see. I mean, what's really amazing is that they kept track of. It looks like they kept track of every dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it wasn't like guys were going off and, you know, pretty amazing, really. And when you see some of that correspondence, you realize like the expenses that a band accrues. I mean, it's just insane. You know, washing the clothes, you know, and you know things that you don't think about. I mean, lots of expenses.
Just everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff to them that's just like, oh, you know, whatever. But to people like us, amazing.
Yep. Oh, there's an amazing. I don't know if it's this letter. It's hard to read. Noel Monk's name was there.
Let's see.
I can't remember the exact context, but somehow Noel. There was a concert, and I think somebody was suing Noel, some fan, because she felt she was manhandled. And I don't want to speak out of turn.
This one? This is agreement for a rehearsal space.
Yeah, it's probably, it could be SIR. So it wasn't this letter, but you can see everybody who was CC'd there. Go back.
Yeah.
You know, the whole band. And anyway, there was this letter that Noel was being sued or something. And again, I don't want to speak out of turn because I can't remember the exact details. But it's a pretty amazing letter, though. Noel will be okay. He didn't do anything. You know, it's like just amazing stuff.
Oh, wow.
That's a musicians union thing.
Yeah.
Somebody earned a check for $12.59 for working on Thriller. And the gross amount was $359. That makes sense. The album only sold 80 million. Funny.
Oh. Oh, wow. Very cool. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, man.
Yeah, that's an actual contract. It's hard to read, but I think it actually has how much they were paid.
Yeah, it's too hard to read, but
yeah, it is.
Whoever wins this auction here will know.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, there. It's everything's listed here.
Oh, yeah. It's not quite the same as looking at it, but yeah, it's yeah, pretty amazing stuff though.
Wow, very cool. Let's see. Passes, contracts.
Yeah, go back that one. Go back one. The one, the 6-9 passes there.
The fair warnings.
Yeah. So that's one sheet, which is pretty cool. You know. I'm guessing that's how they come, and then they cut them. I'm guessing, or that's pretty cool to see it on a sheet like that.
Yeah, all the different colors and after show. Very cool. Very cool. You saw them on every tour, right?
Just about, I think. I know people get mad at me. They go, "Well, how can you not remember?" You know, and I can't remember. I can't remember 80% of the concerts I went to, and I have. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have like all these like poster boards,
Mm-hmm.
that are filled with backstage pass, and I go, oh, I did go to a Duran Duran show. Oh, I did see the Doobie Brothers. Oh, I did see Pat Benatar. I mean, for me to remember those concerts specifically is hard. I realize Van Halen's a little different, but it really is hard. It really is hard to remember, folks. So don't get mad.
Yeah.
Don't
I mean,
get
it was
mad.
every night, right?
Say it
Like
again.
every night, like for you, like every night you're invited to some event, some show.
It was just about between the clubs and the shows, the concerts. I mean, I was at the Whiskey and the Starwood. I went to the Troubadour a lot of outline clubs, Golden Bear down in Huntington Beach. Had the great honor of being flown to concerts. The band wasn't coming to LA. Oh, well, we'll fly you out. Do you want to go see Loggins and Messina in Nebraska? Well, hell yeah, I want to go see Loggins and Messina in Nebraska. Back in the days when I didn't mind flying, now not so much. But back in the day, it's like, you're going to fly me to Nebraska to interview Loggins and Messina? So yeah, it was just about every day. It really was. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, some David Lee Roth signed expense reports. Michael Anthony signed for the office rent, which tells me that anybody in the band could sign on the business account. You know what I mean? So that's, what is that, $2,050? $2,750? And this is, when is this? 83? Man, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? That's at least $5 or $6 grand a month now. They were on the 7th floor. Right, I remember that because I remember they had an elevator. And they had an elevator operator, But, oh, I'm sorry. I think that their building or their offices were called the Berwyn Entertainment Complex, but I'm pretty positive it was in this crossroads of the world, business mall kind of a thing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, office rent. So 7th floor.
Yeah. For some reason, I always thought it was on the street level, but it was up there on the 7th floor.
Wow. And
Yeah.
and like I said, this is like every day. Like you weren't just covering Van Halen stuff. You were covering all kinds of stuff for years and years and years. So
exactly. So right. So if it wasn't a concert that night, it was probably an interview that day. I've looked back and I've never done an exact count, but I know I've done probably about 2,500 interviews. Yeah, so it was a lot of interviews. Because at one point in time, I was writing for a few different magazines, because none of them paid anything. When I say anything, I mean the money for we're writing for Cream or Circus or guitar player. The most I ever made was $150, and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna buy a house. I am rich, you know, and that I remember what it was for. It was for the Jimmy Page cover. So they said, well, we're going to give you more. They used to pay me $125 for a cover and $75 for a feature. So they go, going to give you $150 for this one.
Was that Guitar World?
Guitar player.
Guitar player?
Yeah, Guitar World played a little bit more, but that's later. So, Guitar player is 73 to 79. I started writing for Guitar World in 84 till 88 or 89. So it's a little later. By then, I had written for a fair amount of magazines. So I had a little bit more credibility and, could command a higher salary. So, Guitar World paid more. Who really paid well were the Japanese. I wrote for a magazine called Player, which was the Japanese equivalent of Guitar Player, Guitar World. And my God, the earliest stories I wrote for them, they were paying me like a couple $100 a story. It was remarkable. And they treated me like a king. It was amazing. Because if a band was going on tour, they were going to tour in the States before they would ever go to Japan. If they were going to release a record, they would release it in the States before they'd ever release it in Japan. So I was sending them these interviews, before the bands were even touring there. So they were getting like a jump on all these interviews. So they loved me. It was great. It was great. Great fun. So yeah, it was a lot going on, Every day was like something new, It was like none of it was ever bad. It was just, it was a remarkable time, Just lucky,
I can't even think how you can even remember. Like you probably wake up every day with a new memory of something.
I do. And what I did stupidly is I had like a daily diary. Oh man, and I threw them all away. At some point in time, I thought, I don't want to think about what I did back in the day, And that really had everything I did, but I threw them away. But if I look around, I can usually find a picture, Hopefully, the interview I did was labeled with a date, so I can kind of, find the chronology that way. It's funny, just recently, I used to write for a magazine called International Musician and Recording World. I think it was an English publication. It was very cool. And I only had one issue, and I found somebody on eBay that was selling like 7 or 8 issues, and all of them had my stories in there. So I just bought those. That was so cool, man. Fleshing out the archives and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Was it a Van Halen story?
One of them was.
I think I may have had that one years ago.
It was a Van Halen cover, but I didn't even remember all the stories I did. I think there was a bass player, Stanley Clark, I did. Some more obscure artists, that I had no memory of doing. I also found a couple more circus magazines that I had written for, and Circus Raves, which was like the sister magazine. I totally forgotten I had written these stories, So I asked these people, I go, hey, if you could look through your issues, and if you see the name Steve Rosen, let me know. I'll buy the magazines, So these people kindly did that, I bought these issues. They're so great. So this is pretty great. So this is Dave Personal, and of course we're talking about David Lee Roth. And so it's Chinese restaurant, and hard to read what else is in there, but taxi. He took a lot of taxi. Now, somebody could probably look at the dates. I'm assuming, or I'm guessing this is when they were on the road. Hard to imagine Dave taking a taxi if he was in town, with his own car. But maybe he did. I don't know. But camera, Chinese. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Says this from 1984.
1984, yeah.
So, sushi, yeah, Chinese, limos, movies, clothing. Says a fun dive into Diamond Dave's daily habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah, so cool. A lot of passes. Yeah. I would imagine.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would imagine that you've had thousands and thousands and thousands of these, just from all different bands, like going to shows and then collecting. Because you didn't just live a lot of that stuff. You collected a lot of this stuff too.
I did. And again, another stupid thing I did, I threw away ticket stubs. Come on, Johnny. What kind of a moron does that? I was such a goon. And I have a lot of backstage passes. They're in the other room, in like these big poster boards,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of them, but I think of all the concerts I've gone to, I think it's just a fraction. So where the rest of them went to, I don't know. I can't believe I would have thrown them away. But yeah, there were a lot. There were definitely a lot of passes,
Wow.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh,
A
this
credit,
is pretty
credit
cool.
card?
Yeah, check this out.
Wow. And this is the first time for me seeing any of this stuff. Like I told Steve, I didn't go through this beforehand because I wanted to be surprised. A cut up credit card that belonged to Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, can you go up just a little more, Johnny? I'm sorry, go up. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
so
this
you
way?
can see. Can you point to? Can you see Edward Van Halen? Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1985.
85. So the first thing I did was I taped it back together and went to go and try to withdraw $8,000. Didn't work, but it's pretty cool. I mean, he never signed it. I never signed my credit cards, so it doesn't mean that he didn't use it because it looked like it was used.
I think they said not to sign them. Like you don't want to sign it. You want to make sure so people don't try to use it. I don't know about these days, but I remember like you don't sign it, but then when you use it, you show your ID with it, like whatever you're buying, so they know it's yours, right?
Yeah.
An instant teller. So what kind of a credit card is this? Instant teller, City National Bank.
City National Bank. I mean, is City National Bank still around? People,
I don't know.
yeah, I thought that was pretty incredible, though.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I have never seen one of those.
No. Wow. So you really did tape it up and go to Guitar Center?
I did. I went to Guitar Center to see if I could get some EVH guitars.
You're like, look.
I got his card. What more do you need?
But you actually did go to Guitar Center with him, right?
Did twice.
What,
Twice.
the one in Hollywood? The one with all the handprints and stuff?
Both. I went to the one in Hollywood and the one on in Studio City in on Ventura Boulevard. The one on Ventura Boulevard is the chapter in the book No Strings Attached, where I was up at 5150, and he's taking the strings off a guitar, and he goes and looks through these, beautiful handcrafted cabinets, and he's got every tool, every piece of gear, and there's guitars, and he's looking, and he opens a cabinet and he closes it, opens another cabinet and, looks down below, and, I go, what is he looking for? And he says, oh, I don't have any guitar strings. I thought, yeah, right. You don't have any guitar strings, Edward Van Halen, And he goes, let's go get some guitar strings. So I go outside and jump in his Countach and drive to the Guitar Center down there in Ventura, which is just about pretty close to his house. It's about 10 minutes away. Though the way he was driving, it was more like, 5 minutes away. But that was a pretty fun day. And then I think it was after that, he wanted to go check out keyboards. So we went to the Hollywood store. And I remember him walking in, trying out keyboards, guys working there just kind of flipping out. I mean, I think that's where he got his keyboards. And again, I don't want to speak out of tune, but I'm pretty positive that's where he got the keyboards, that he'd ultimately play on Jump and all that. But
I was going to say, do you think when he walks in there, is he going to play like Jump on a keyboard?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like people would notice, right? Did people notice if he walked in? Did people like, oh, that's Van Halen?
Oh, did they notice?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was instantaneous. It really happened at the Studio City store. I mean, the second he walked in the door, I looked and I write about it in Tonechaser. I looked at the guy behind the counter and I really thought he was going to fall over dead. I mean, he could not believe what he was saying.
He's like, finally, I got the job here, and Van Halen walked in.
Exactly. And Edward says, I think one set Edward used Fender strings, and Edward says, yeah, I'm a set of Fenders, and again, if I'm getting this wrong, don't anybody shoot me. I think he used 9s. I can't remember. And so the guy comes back, and he hands her the one pack of 9.
They were called Fender like Super Bullets.
Exactly.
You can see them in the photos. And
this guy's trying to keep it together. I think he asked for Edward's autograph, and Edward gave it to him. And again, famously, Edward goes, he goes, oh, hey man, I don't have any money. Can I borrow some money for guitar strings? Of course you can, Edward. Why should you have any money? And then we're driving back. He says, hey man, can I borrow some money for some beer? No, Ed, I'm tapped out. Right? So that was so funny. But what I thought was so amazing. I'm sorry. I'll go back just a second. This is pretty cool. The CD uncut artwork.
This one.
That's pretty cool, man. It's like a Japanese. It's kind of a long thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. The proof.
Exactly.
Of the Japanese CD cover. Yeah.
I think that's pretty hip.
That's really cool.
But the fact that he just got one set of strings, not 2, not 10 sets, one set. I mean, that's almost more amazing. The fact that he ran out of the guitar strings up at 5150. Right? I mean, it's like a liquor store running out of alcohol. I mean, how does that happen?
You would think they would just give him the strings. You would think there would be like the employee would be like, "Hey, I'm buying these," for Van Halen. You would think that would happen a lot. Like everywhere you go, if people recognize you.
Yeah. I'm sure it happened a lot.
Yeah.
And B9 asked me, did Edward ever pay me back? No, B9, he never paid me back. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Hey, Edward, you owe me for a set of strings and a 6-pack of beer? I don't think so. So funny.
Wow.
It just says so much about the guy, though. You know what I mean? It just that he was comfortable enough to borrow money from me. As strange as that sounds. I mean.
So you were probably there You were probably there when he was playing the guitar, probably coming up with ideas. Like, is there anything you remember? Like, what? Well, probably not, but like you could have been there while he was coming up with ideas, like for songs that made it as songs or made it as like famous riffs that we all know.
Right, absolutely. And
You know?
the greatest example of that, again, in Tonechaser, where I'm up on Weepaw Way. There you go. With my good friend Ron De La Vega, very talented musician, bass player, and cello player, and keyboard player. And in fact, there's another chapter in the book called Cello Goodbye. And if you don't understand that reference, you should. Because everyone wanted to learn cello, and I thought, oh, I'm going to bring my friend Ron over, and he's going to give Edward some cello lessons. That's another story. But Ron and I are working. I'm sorry. Show the hat, Johnny.
The Hard Rock.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All the guys signed that from the Hard Rock in Maui. So anyway, so we're working on one of my songs, and Edward comes in. He would do the famous Jerry Seinfeld pop in. And there's a knock at the door, and he comes in, and I'm playing guitar, and I'm running through some little, I can't remember what I was running through. Maybe it was direct. We're using a little Fostex. I remember little Fostex 4-tracks. You'd bounce all the tracks and stuff to try to get more tracks. That Ron was really good at. I think it was my Fostex. I could barely figure out how to turn the freaking thing on, but Ron knew how to work it. And then he was playing a keyboard. And so Ed's kind of sitting on my little couch there, and he goes, "Hey man, can I play? Can I play?" And then he starts playing, but he's playing over my songs. But he has Ron play some stuff. And one of the songs, and again, I can't remember. I think one of the songs is, they're both from 5150. And this is months and months and months before it came out. But he was working on these songs. Love Walks In and the title track, or Dreams. I can't remember. Those who have read the book, let me know what songs. But yeah, that was amazing. And I didn't know it until the album came out. So he played, so this is back in when the album came out in 86, so maybe this is like 85, He Came by the House. It was many months before the 5150 record came out. So I didn't know until the 5150 record would come out many months later. I go, wait a second, I recognize that, and I went back and listened to the tape, and I go, oh my God, that's what he had Ron play. So yeah, I think there was a fair amount of that, actually, which is pretty cool. And there's another Van Halen. Go back, Johnny. It's the Gary Sharon CD signed by the guys.
Oh, the CD itself?
Yeah. You can click on that one too, actually.
There's a cover. There's a cover, and there's a CD itself. Wow.
That's pretty cool. So this is weird. So how many signatures do you count there?
1, 2, 3,
There's
4,
Edward, there's Gary,
5.
there's Alex, there's Mike, and Dave. I don't think Dave signed a Van Halen 3 album. Do you? Hard to imagine. So it's some other Dave. Maybe it was a Dave in the Crew, or one of the guys.
It looks like maybe it's made out to Dave. Like Edward, like somebody wrote Dave because he has the exclamation points after it. That's what it looks like.
Maybe.
And this must be Gary Sharon. Okay, right here. That's Gary, and then Sharon under there.
Yeah. And Adam mentioned here, my good friend Adam Roach, all of these references I'm making to the book and Edwards playing these songs from 5150 are you can hear that on the audiobook. It's pretty amazing hearing that stuff.
Very cool.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's like you know, earlier you had said you went to Guitar Center and he bought a pack of strings. Like, who knows? Those strings that he bought might have been used, like, to write something that came out, or just think to even to record.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't there when they were recording, right?
No, I never was.
Or, well, let's say, were you ever around any band, like in the studio while they were tracking something that would eventually come out? Like, you know what I mean?
I was, yes, I do. I was, up at, excuse me, Caribou Ranch. Caribou was a recording facility that was owned by Jim Garcio, who was the manager for Chicago. It was this amazing facility. It was like these separate log cabins. It was in the Rocky Mountains in a place called Nederland, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this amazing studio there. And I was there while Supertramp recorded Even in the Quietest Moments. And I was able to hear a little bit of that. Yeah, there were a couple other times. I mean, typically those moments for a band are pretty private, you know. But there were a couple other moments. I can't remember who, but yeah, I was a couple other times. It was amazing to see that stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, I would think, because you've been around a lot of stuff. Like you've like I said, you probably wake up every day, or there's something that goes off, like it reminds you, oh yeah. Like you probably have a story with like every band or every musician. You know what I mean?
I do. I have a lot of stories. And again, you know, it's funny because, again, you can see every wall in every room.
I mean, look at that. Yeah.
Is covered, you know. So it's not that it's like, oh, Rosen's got to have all these pictures up. You know, it's not that at all. Actually, it's when people come over, you know, friends, or, you know, they go, oh my God, isn't that sorry, it's so hard to do it backwards. Isn't that Richie Blackmore? You know, go, yeah, that's, you know, oh, you know, you be purple. I mean, I really do love telling the stories, and I look at the pictures, and it's like, well, you know, I did okay. I did some good stuff along the way, you know, and that's who I was, and that's what I was, and you know, I mean, I'm proud of it, you know, and I like looking at it, and they do trigger memories of you know, being in a room with Corky Lang. You know, I loved Mountain, and hearing him talk about, you know, coming up, because Mississippi Queen was his lyric, you know, and being there with who else, 38 Special and Nick Ronson, and you know, Gary Moore and Felix Pappalardi and Kossoff, and you know, Martin Barr, who's one of the great guitar players, and you know, White Snake and Leo Fender. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I was there at a time when, you know, music magazines were growing up, and they needed outside writers. You know, they couldn't cover everything by the staff, and I was there, you know, and it was great. I was lucky, but it was also a lot of work, and you know, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've often said I would have done it for free, and I would have. And honestly, I would have paid them, to be honest. So, yeah, it was a life well lived. I mean, I'm pretty happy about it. So, yeah, it was cool.
Do you have dreams, like at night? Do you dream about the stuff?
You know, that's a good question, and I know how dumb this sounds. I actually have a fair amount of dreams about Edward, and usually they're so oblique, I can't remember them, or they don't make any sense. Sometimes he's happy, and sometimes he's not, and that's kind of not good, but I do have dreams. Oh, sorry. This is that jacket in the middle was Noel Monk's jacket. And this is all just basically ephemera, I think, as Jacques described it, just miscellaneous stuff. That's Hot for Teacher. That's the little song folio, and some obscure passes, some early bio shots, which are pretty cool. Women, children first, and I think that's one of Loz's in front of Dave's house on the steps.
79.
I think there was a bunch of like Xeroxes of stories. Again, this is the office. So they would have had like Xeroxes of articles that ran in various magazines. I think that's what's here. But yeah, I mean, I do have dreams about, various bands. Hard to remember which ones. And it's not like it happens all the time. I'm sure it happened more back in the day, when I was in the middle of it or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, certainly some Van Halen dreams, to be sure. Oh, and Adam, I'm sorry, I'm just Adam. So yeah, there's a Dave Mustaine interview coming up, and that's also a video. And I've interviewed Dave several times, and Dave can be quite a character. He was a little edgy, shall we say. I remember Megadeth was playing at the Hollywood Palladium, and I literally waited hours and hours. And the interview was set up. I waited hours for him to finally say, yeah, we can sit down and talk. And even then, I mean, he was okay. I was a little disappointed, but anyway, that's another video I had that will be up on the YouTube channel. So yeah.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to Steve's YouTube.
There's actually a pretty interesting collection of articles and stuff. Various magazines from around the country and things. So, yeah, pretty cool. And that is a Nolan jacket, though it doesn't say Nolan there. It is his jacket. I would not lie to you people.
Very cool stuff, man. So the auction is it's live, right? It's live now.
Live. It's live.
People
So
can go over there. You guys can go over. You want to go to backstageauctions.com.
Yeah.
And you can search for Steve Rosen. Actually, I'll have a link to it in the description.
Oh, okay, great.
Down below. I'll have a link. Yeah, there's like a Christmas card. 79.
Oh, yeah, that Christmas card's great. I have one that Edward signed for me. But, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow. Very cool. So, I know, I had told you an hour. We're already at like an hour and a half. But
wow.
So, yeah, we have 162 watching right now.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So, let's see. So, you got the auction. You got the book. It's available now at Sweetwater.
It is. So, all you guitar nerds out there know what Sweetwater is. If you don't know what Sweetwater is, it's the biggest online retailer of music gear in the country. I mean, it's huge. And so I had reached out to them many times. They sell Van Halen gear. They sell the pedals. I think they sell the 5150 amps. I think they sell Wilkin guitars. I'm not positive about that. But I thought, Tonechaser on Sweetwater, to me, that makes sense. And I looked through the kinds of books that they had been selling, and they were all sort of song folios, Zeppelin stuff. I think they actually had a Van Halen song folio, tablature, how to play Van Halen
Mm-hmm.
songs. And then there were, how to play the kazoo and, instructional books, that kind of thing. There were no sort of music biographies, if that's what Tonechaser was. So I thought, well, why not start with my book? Let that be the first. So I reached out to them, and I talked to some people. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't speak to them. We actually connected through LinkedIn. I found them through LinkedIn, and then I got an email, and I wrote to them, and I sent a couple books to a couple of people, and they loved the book. I go, wow, this would be a great fit. Who's your distributor? And I write back and I go, well, I'm my distributor. Now, an order comes in, I sign it, pack it, tape it, and take it to the post office. They go, well, you need to have a distributor, and I go, well, I don't really understand what the difference is, and I'm writing this to them in an email. I go, I've shipped out many, 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 many books, and I've done it daily for just about the last 3 years. And I can just ship you some books. Go, well, no, we can't do that because then you have to be a, what they call it, an individual vendor. It was a whole thing. It's like, okay, I get it. You beat me. I give up. I really went after them for a while. I had befriended Joey Allen. Joey was a guitar player in Warrant. We actually connected. I think I'd reached out to him about the book. Hey, man, Steve Rosen wrote a book. He goes, yeah, man, I know about your book. I'd love to have a copy. And I have to say this about Joey. Joey bought a copy, and I offered to send him one. He goes, no, I'm going to buy a copy. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. To make a long story short, he and I have become pretty close. He was working for Pearl Drums. He's like their rep. So he had a lot of dealing with Sweetwater. And he reached out to some people for me. I don't know what he did or what he said. But to make a long story short, they finally acquiesced, and I was able to get the book up there. It's been up there, I don't know, I think up there for a couple of months. And it's amazing. It's really an honor to be up there. The company really is remarkable. I've bought gear from them, a lot of gear. Their customer service is incredible. And so the book's up on Sweetwater. And if you go there, just type in Tonechaser across the top there, and you can find it. Or you can type in Van Halen, and the book is there amongst the Van Halen gear. So that's pretty cool. And I also just got the book up on Rockseller. And for those of you who follow me on Facebook, maybe you've read some of my stories that I printed from a Rockseller called Behind the Curtain. There was a Van Halen story. I think I did one for Blackmore. There was one for, I think, Paul Rogers and Bad Company. Anyway, that's Rockseller. And they've had a sort of a merch store, but they've sort of expanded. And there you go. And that's actually the story. That's actually, there it is. If you can click on, can you click on this, or is that not? Yeah, there it is.
It says it's in the store.
Yeah, it is, and it changes. So
it changes.
If you went to the store, you would see it. So it just came up on. It's just been up on Rockseller for a couple of weeks, and very cool. Very cool. Again, very cool site. They actually get a lot of amazing interviews.
How do you feel about people photoshopping this photo all the time? Have you seen those photos?
Yeah, I have. I don't quite understand it. They have nothing better to do. Um, you know, it's kind of an insult to Edward. You know, you're a Van Halen fan and you do that kind of shit. Pardon my language. Um, yeah,
That's the real photo, because a lot of people have seen. There's a photoshopped version of an older Edward, and he's on you. So it's like two Edwards.
I've
You
never
know,
seen that one.
you've never seen that one? Oh, yeah, but that's the real photo right there.
Yeah, Neil Slowzower, Dan the Green. So that's the second time I met Edward after meeting him at the Whiskey for the first time, and yeah, that was pretty amazing. So all that live video stuff you're hearing, a lot of it was from the that Dan the Green show. I was actually hoping that they were going to show backstage where I was hanging out with Edward. They didn't.
That
this
footage, you mean?
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah, this photo takes place before that. They do show Neil shooting Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
But that happened right after all this stuff happened. So, yeah, almost.
Wow. See,
Almost.
that footage, you know, that all that footage that came out the past month or whatever, you know, like for the rest of us, that's like stuff we only dreamed of seeing. But a lot of that you lived. I mean, you were there. You know, a lot of that time walking around backstage with the band, being in the hotel rooms, being, I mean, just all that craziness.
I did see a lot of that. You know, I was backstage for a lot of bands.
Mm-hmm.
That happened a lot. Well, that's where all the passes come from, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously, you know, you mean you're not going to give me a laminate? You're not going to let me hang out the whole freaking concert after show? I really didn't complain, you know. But, yeah, that was fun. You know, it was really fun. But before the band went on, and you can see what that looks like, you know, and they're getting ready, and they're in the little, you know, rehearsal room, or they're, you know, warming up and stuff. Those moments are incredible. And I'll tell you what, there have been many shows that have tried to capture that ambiance and that feeling of being backstage, and I've never seen one that has even been close. A little while ago, I think it was called, I can't remember what it was called. Someone here in the chat room might remember. But the executive producers were Quincy Jones and Mick Jagger. And who knows more about backstage than those two? And that series was atrocious. I mean, every scene just felt so Hollywood. It just was not real at all. So, oh yeah, there's the page. So I don't know why they can never get it right, but they never get it right. But yeah, backstage was pretty amazing. You know, to see how more popular bands were treated, you know, all that stuff. Pretty incredible. Pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. There's the book. There's that photo. Oh, that's a different one. So there's two photos from that.
There are. You know, it's funny because I had the first photo on the back of the first edition, which is a black and white. The photos are actually color, obviously, but for the first book, I thought I just wanted the front and back covers in black and white. You know, I thought it was a little more atmospheric. You know, I don't know why, but I wanted to do that. And I remember asking Neil. I said, "Hey Neil, you know, is it possible you have any other shots from the day on the green?" He goes, "Well, come over. You know, let's look through his files." Neil's studio is over in Hollywood, and he has I don't know, man. I mean, the big filing cabinets, you know, this deep. Um, I mean, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of slides. I don't know. But, you know, he goes and he finds the Van Halen stuff, you know, we're going through and he's looking. He goes, oh, I got this one. And I'm like, oh, my, I mean, I almost fell over because I wasn't even going to ask her because he was really good at giving me the pictures he took of me and the artist. I mean, he always, you know, towards the end of an interview, he'd go, hey, Eddie, can we get a picture of you and Steve? Or, hey, Richie, can we get a picture of you and Steve? You know, he was always really good about that. And he was always really good about getting me the slide as well. So I figured, you know, he took the one picture and that was it. But then he had this one. I thought, oh my God, can you believe it? And I love Edward's expression on this. It's like, I don't know, man, there's something really kind of boyish about it. You know, like, hey, you know, I don't know. This is very cool. So yeah, so this is the back cover of the third edition in color. You know, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so cool, man. And I like how I've seen this a lot of the photos. Like if it's you with an artist, a guitarist, you always have your hand on the neck. That's that was your thing, huh?
That was my thing, dude. That was my signature. And here it looks like I'm maybe barring an A chord, you know? But typically it's an E chord, you know? So I need to get my whole hand over it, you know, my famous E chord. And I'll show you dudes who knows how to play guitar. I can play an E chord. Yeah, I've actually got my hands. Are there any pictures here? Oh, well, you can't see it. It's out of the frame here, but there's Leo Fender is playing like this little mini guitar. Can you see it here?
Sort of.
Here, let me bring it down.
Oh, no way.
So I think it's my little E chord. That's like just a little mini chord.
Yeah.
Mini guitar, you know. Hang on. Hang on, people.
Amazing.
Sorry. It's a bit hard to figure this out. Can you see it?
There you go. Yeah.
Johnny Guitar Watson.
Wow. When was that? Like early mid 70s?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really old. It's a cool guitar he's got too, some kind of a Gibson. So yeah, if we maybe we should do another one. Oh, last one.
Wow. Smash that thumbs up.
And does anybody know who this is? Can you guess? Great guitar player. Playing a very cool Chevelle. Little obscure. Not obscure, I mean, he's a great guitar player. Phil Solem, who was in the Rembrandts. I'm sorry, he's in Great Buildings. And then the Rembrandts did the Friends theme song. I can't think how it goes now.
Oh, yeah. The Friends song.
When they're dancing in the fountain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very famous song. I mean,
how does the Friends song go, you guys? The Rembrandts. Were they the guys that were like twins?
I don't think so. I think it was a singer named Danny Wilde.
What was that other song with those two guys? They look like
I'll be there with you, right?
Yeah. So that was him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really great guitar player. He actually came over to the pad once up in Weepaw Way, and my good friend Bob Truman owned a music store called Nadine's, and that was back. This is probably early '80s, you know, and I had a band, and I was trying to get my sound, you know, it's like, I sounded equally bad on everything, you know, but Bob loaned me a bunch of amps, you know, like Music Man, I think he had, and Fenders and stuff. I had all these boxes, all these amps that were brand new up the pad. And somehow I interviewed Phil and we talked about it. I said, hey man, I got all these amps. Would you want to come over and check them out? He goes, yeah. So anyway, I think we hung out a little bit. I don't think that picture wasn't taken when he came over the house, but that picture was taken from the interview. But, you know, he played an amp and he sounded amazing. Yeah, I played it through the amp, but I sounded not so amazing. That was frustrating. But, yeah, that was my thing, man, the E chord. Yeah.
I've seen other photos, like there's a photo of you and Sammy and Edward, and I think
exactly
you might be doing that there. And then exactly. I've seen several, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few. That was a Ross Marino shot. Ross was another big photographer back in the day. He very sadly passed away, very young age, but that was Ross's photo. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Well, dude. So
we cover all the bases, Johnny.
Got Rock Cellar, and I'll have links to all this stuff in the description down below. You guys, excellent. You got Rock Cellar, you got Sweetwater, and there's others. There's Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon again. Just type in Tonechaser. My own website, which is simpletonechaserbook.com.
Tonechaser book. Do you sell your books out of the trunk of your car? Like if somebody like sees you on the street, can they just get a book from you?
Well, I'll keep a couple of books in the car. I was thinking about doing that actually. You know, it's funny. I've gone to the post office twice. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at the post office every single day. I know every single clerk there by name. Oh, Steve,
same with me. Yeah.
Exactly. You've only got 5 books today. It's a little slow. I go, yeah, it's a little slow. I mean, I know them all, obviously. Very sweet people. The El Toro post office, while we're at it. But while I was in there, 2 people, you know, because the box, they'll be in the box, and they'll see the side of the box, or I'll have it turned up so they'll see the picture, and they'll go, that Van Halen? I go, yeah. I go, do you know him? Or somehow a conversation will start. I go, well, yes, I was friends with Edward and I wrote a book. Oh, we'd like to get a book. So I sold 2 books while at the post office, you know. And
oh, wow.
The post office wants a cut from it, but I'm not going to give it to them. So. But, yeah, so it's, so Amazon, eBay, Reverb, and Etsy, which is obscure. You know, if you're there buying a purse, a homemade purse, and you want to put a book in it, Tonechaser is a book. And you can actually get the book at Book Soup if you happen to be in the area. There's actually a couple other bookstores. You were there across the country that carry it. So yeah, it's out there, folks.
So cool.
The truth is out there.
Holly Lewis is saying, can we expect a 4th edition? I think we kind of talked about this earlier, sort of, but
it you know, I probably have the material to put it together, but again, like everything else in life, it's really hard. It takes a lot out of you. You know, that being said, have people watching and people responding to the book, and they'll write me and on the Instagram and all that stuff. I love that stuff. It feeds me like you can't imagine. And you know, every hour of pounding away on a computer keyboard was absolutely worth it. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, it really is hard. So we'll see about a 4th edition. Adam says it's available in Australia. Are you bootlegging my book, Adam? I don't think that's right, pal. No, actually, I had sent some copies to Adam, and yeah, he's gotten them to his buddies and stuff, But that's what I've really been trying to do. Trying to get the book out. Get foreign editions. I mean, I'd love for that to happen. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, like Japan. I mean, he was a god in Japan. I mean, he was a god here. He was a massive god in Japan. I mean, they were huge in Japan. So you would think that the book would sell there. Get somebody to translate a 580-page book into Japanese. I mean, just translating it into, German or Italian would be Japanese with the character. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, it might turn out to be 1,000 pages because of how the characters are. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works out, but anyway, yeah. So it's out there, and I want to thank everybody who has the book. And if you don't have the audiobook, you should check that out. I think you guys would really dig that. And
that's
yeah,
great.
All good.
Right on. Well, Steve Rosen, YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. Drop comments. You got a lot of great video. I mean, you got the Paul Gilbert one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, you got a lot of cool.
Well, I mean,
Steve Lukather. Yes.
Oh, Luke. Yeah, Luke is a cool interview. Luke, Steve Vai, Dave Mustaine. Yeah, there's a few. And Michael Tagler bought 2 copies of the book. Is that, if I'm reading that correctly?
I liked it so much I bought it twice.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, Mike Jones, Jamie, everybody, Michael. Yep. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, so make sure you guys subscribe to Steve's channel and get the book if you haven't. Links down below, or if you see him on the street, there's one in his trunk.
Absolutely.
Do you ever go into bookstores and just take a book and just like leave it? Just like leave it in there?
Leave a book in there? I've never done that, but admittedly, when I'm back up in Hollywood, I have gone into Book Soup, and I will see it on the shelf. And, if there's like another book in front of it, I'll go take that book and toss it out the garbage can. And pull my book so it's, it's not flush, so it sticks out more, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not on the same level, but like I have my own guitar picks, like they say with Johnny Beane on them.
Yeah.
I'll go into guitar stores and just leave them lying around,
yeah.
So people will find them.
That's cool.
I know a book, it's a little too, not as easy to do that, but.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what I have done though. I've had various different little like business cards made, Tonechaser business cards, and I have gone into, those I'll leave around. And at the gym, I go to, there's a table in the front where everybody leaves their card, but all the cards are for, trainers or diet or, something, exercise related, and I'll kind of push all the cards to the back, and I'll lay out like a row of Tonechaser cards. And as I go in each day, somebody's taking them. Maybe somebody's taking them and tossing my cards, but they are disappearing.
Wait a minute, but you also have the I'd forgotten you have the picks too.
Wow! Oh yeah.
Remember those? So you could just leave your own guitar picks lying around Guitar Center.
I could if I had any left.
Oh.
All gone.
I'll sell you this one. I'll put this one up for auction. Cool, dude. All right. Look at this. We're at 2 hours. If we go 10 more seconds, we're at 2 hours. I know I told you 1 hour. Oh, wow. And you have a cat.
Oh, can you hear him? Hang on.
I just saw him.
You saw him? Come here, Deborah. Come here, Deb.
I just.
So this is over, Deb.
Oh.
No. Overdub. So that's overdub. He doesn't like to be held sometimes. So real quickly here, Peggy Bouchard.
Peggy Bouchard.
Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, Peggy. Mentioned you need to get some cars to put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just reached out to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have to tell you, they have an archival library, and they have a lot of books in there. And I thought, well, you know what, I'd like to donate a book, and it became, it became like launching a rocket ship. I could never get a response. Look, I'm not saying I'm anybody special, but they were not terrific, to be honest with you. I wanted to donate a book, and what I wanted them to do, and I thought, I'm not asking too much. I thought, would you just take a picture of the book on the shelf in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame amongst the other books, or take a picture of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame library and my book, so I could post it. It would honor me. It would honor them. It was like I wanted blood. They wanted to do that. I thought, hey, you know what? Okay. I mean, look, I would like to be in there, but it's not going to change my life. And so I wrote back to them. I said, hey, you know what? Because they do buy books. I go, I'll sell you a book. So then I got back. I was like, okay, we'll see what's on our schedule. I don't know, man. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. And now, I had somebody who referred me to them, who said they were interested in some of my audio, specifically the Van Halen audio. So I wrote to him. I said, hey, yeah, I've got audio. What can you give me? I didn't say that, but I don't know, man. You're giving them your life's work, and they're doing you the honor. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. It bothers me. Anyway, Peggy, that's in response. So if you go by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you go in there and go, where's Rosen's book? Where's Tonechaser, you people? Get it together. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know they have a gift shop because we did a virtual tour of it.
Yeah. They have a gift shop, and they have a huge bookstore.
They do have stuff there.
And I actually asked this girl. I go, I mean, there are a lot of books. I think I forget that they have the number, because it keeps scrolling across a page. It goes up to page I don't know, 800, and there's 25 books on each page. I think they have I know there's over 2,000 books. So I asked her, I go, does every single book get accepted? I mean, can anybody send in a book and you'll take it? And she wrote back, she goes, no, we have some criteria. I don't know. It didn't look like it to me, so anyway.
Well, just keep trying. You'll get it in there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, books, all books. I'm looking at the site right now. Well, they're like coloring books and stuff. You need to make a coloring book version. They're like kid books.
They have kid books, but somewhere they also have biographies and stuff.
Oh, paperback. What about paperback for Tonechaser? Is that?
I was thinking about that. I kind of love the pedigree of it being a hardback, but Yeah, maybe that's the fourth edition. Maybe it's a paperback.
Because they're smaller. Paperback book,
It could
smaller.
be. The only problem is if it gets smaller, that means you need more pages. So it'd be 700 pages and it'd be this thick. You know what I mean? So, but
You need glasses too to read it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but paperback could be. What do the people out in the chat room think about a paperback?
What do you guys think of a paperback? I think you can get your book in there as a paperback. I think so. Or make like a kid little golden version. Because I'm seeing a lot of those, and these aren't old. These are like newer.
Newer
They
book?
look like the kid books when I was a kid in the 70s were these type of books with the gold
Really?
trim.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah. No. What?
What Raymond said,
Hardback.
no to a softback.
Hardback is better.
Not right, but I'll hold my tongue. Oh, I think hopefully you're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Look, I don't want to badmouth them. I had a bad experience. Obviously, the other 2,500 authors who have books in there love it, and everybody else who donates all their gear and stuff. You know, they obviously get something from it. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of books here.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there's
wow.
books about everybody. I say everybody who's been inducted, I think there's a book there.
Oh yeah, I'm scrolling through. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I don't see why your book wouldn't be there. But well, yeah, I'm seeing hardcovers. I'm seeing a lot of paperbacks.
Really? I mean, I know they have hardbacks in there. Actually, you know what? This woman, and she was nice. You know, I don't want to make it out that these people were mean spirited. So, if I wanted to donate the book, which I was willing to do, I thought, okay, you're not going to take a picture of the book in your library. That's too much for you to do. Okay. This here that you're looking through, I think that they have like a catalog version as well. So it's like, well, when could I expect to be listed in your catalog? And the catalog, I guess, is like what you're looking at there, John, that list of stuff. And she wrote back, she goes, well, I can't tell you that. And I go, well, you know, is it weeks? Look, I know they're busy. I know they have a lot of stuff going on. I said months. She goes, I don't know. So it's like, I could donate the book and it lies in limbo somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. They just didn't have any good answers, or at least no answers that I liked. But look, if you people are fans of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, great. If you've been there and dig it, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff to see. I just, I don't know. I didn't have a great experience with it. So, there you go.
There's always next year.
Always next.
I mean, they're making the place bigger and bigger from what I've heard from friends. Like they're building like another building there. They're going to need books to fill it.
You would think. You would think. You know.
Cool. Right on. Let's see. Few quick comments. I'm starting to feel bad because I told Steve an hour, and we're over 2 hours.
Well,
you should just send them some books. Mike
you're
Jones.
You're gonna pay overtime, pal.
So just send them some books. Say here.
I should.
Say here's some books. Paperbacks would be good for plane travel or vacations.
That's a good idea.
Scott says.
That's a good idea. Far less weight because I know that guys say, hey man, I can't take it on the plane because there's no room in the suitcase, kind of thing. So yeah.
Adam says your Dave Mustaine interview will be up on your channel in an hour and a
Oh,
half.
oh. Yeah, Adam said he's seen a lot of interviews with Dave, and that Dave was actually in a good mood when we spoke. I suppose I interviewed Dave a while ago. This is quite a while ago. It was a phoner, and wow, it was a tough one, to be sure. But yeah, I mean, interesting guy. I mean, had a lot of success. Obviously, I mean, you can't take that away. Very cool.
Yeah. Let me ask you this real quick. Why would, like, let's say you're interviewing somebody, why would they be giving you like a hard time or attitude? I mean, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it's like that's somebody's dream to be in their position. Like, why?
That's a good question, and it didn't happen very often. If you frame that question in a slightly different way, it is, well, who is difficult to interview, or who is not a nice person, kind of a thing. Yes, you're right. You're there. I mean, obviously, I was there doing an interview with somebody because they were on tour. There was a new record out. There was, we weren't just talking out of space. Or if there wasn't a new record out, then yeah, they were in town, playing a concert or something, so we would be talking about the live show and previous records. Some of these guys, they just did not want to be there. So why were they there? Management pushed them into it. The publicist said, you have to do this interview. I don't know. Some of them were, I could tell they were just, they weren't interested. And I could tell instantly. I'd done enough interviews to know that when I sat down with somebody, I mean, honestly, man, I could tell right away. I could tell, because remember, back in the day, everything is in person, right? So you're sitting across a table from me, and you can't really hide facial expressions a lot. I can see the eyes. Is he looking at me? Is she looking at me? I got pretty good at detecting that. It didn't happen often, and if somebody was in a foul mood, in a bad mood, not that I could appreciate it, but hey, we all have bad moods, they were out partying late last night. They wanted to stay home and hang out. Part of me could understand that, but there were some that it was just, Rosen, you are so freaking lucky I am even here with you. And that it was hard for me to tolerate, being condescended to. You can say, Rosen, you are a really bad writer. It's like, okay, that hurts my feelings, but it's like, but if you say, well, Rosen, and I write about it in the book, Rosen, why do you think you're such a good writer? Or being condescended to, or somebody talks down to me, or makes me think that the question I've asked is stupid. That was a hard one to take. And I'll give you a quick rundown of people who were tough. Frank Zappa was sardonic, sarcastic, biting. First question I asked him was, I was writing for Sounds. Sounds was an amazing weekly, Johnny, English newspaper. NME, Melody Maker, and Sounds are the three.
It's like an actual newspaper type thing.
Exactly,
yeah.
Newspaper, newsprint, folded out. And I became their correspondent for several years. And so Zappa was huge. in Europe. They love that stuff. And so I was interviewing for sounds. And one of the first questions I asked was, I don't know, something about the band getting together, or I don't know what it was, And he says, well, so what you're asking me is something that has been written about before, and you're trying to glean what somebody else has previously gleaned, and you're not really asking me anything original. And it's like, I thought, did he just insult me like for 5 minutes? And the entire interview was like that. He could not respond to me civilly. No question I asked was, good enough to be on his radar. He was not nice. Now, in '77, I'm writing for Guitar Player magazine, and Guitar Player wants an interview with Frank, and they're thinking about putting him on the cover. And Frank knows all this. His publicist says, oh, this guy Steve Rosen is going to interview you, and it could be a potential cover. Well, how did Frank act that day? Like the golden child. How polite can I be to this Steve Rosen guy? I want to be on the cover. He didn't say that to me. I read it. I knew it, So that day he was really great, and that was a great interview. He was not nice. Todd Rundgren was not nice. I remember it was for a music. It might have been for even International Musician Recording World, which is all about gear. So I would ask him something about guitars, and the first words out of his mouth were ask my roadie, and I think he's joking. Half my questions are about gear. It's like, what do I talk about? He was not nice.
Give his roadie the cover.
Exactly.
You should have given his roadie the cover, man.
Famously, I've written about Richie. Richie was just an acerbic guy, Again, the same thing happened with Richie. I interviewed him twice, 74 and 75, and then I interviewed him again in 78, right after I met Edward, actually. I'm sorry, right after the first Van Halen record comes out. And I'm interviewing Richie for the cover of Guitar Player, and Richie's on his best behavior, and it was an amazing interview. Guitar Player held a lot of weight. If you were a guitarist, you wanted to be in Guitar Player magazine because there was nothing else like it, right? There was Downbeat, but that was all jazz guys, really. So you desperately wanted to be in Guitar Player. And if they were thinking about you for a cover, so writing for Guitar Player at that time. I mean, I had a lot of cachet, I carried a lot of weight for a little Steven Rosen guy, Jimmy Page was tough. He was really tough. Gave me a lot of grief. Both times I interviewed him in 77 and 86. Again, one of the first questions I asked him in 86, this is the firm. So and I thought it was a good question. I go, so Jimmy, obviously working with, Paul Rogers must be, different than working with, Robert Plant. And, I'm thinking, oh, it's a deep dive. He's going to say, yeah, we write differently. Paul plays guitar lyrically. I was figuring like this great answer, and can we cuss on here, Johnny?
You can say whatever you want.
He says, what the fucking mean? Of course it was fucking different. What do you fucking think? And I'm stunned. And I'm going, oh my God, it's going to be the same thing as it was in 77. And it just got progressively worse. And that's famously, it had gone on so long that I thought, fuck you. And that's when I started asking him about Van Halen, about Edward. I go, so what do you think about Edward Van Halen? And he goes, well, he really created something, And I go, well, he's my friend. He goes, yeah, I know he's your friend. I go, well, what do you think of that tapping thing? He goes, well, I can't do it. I go, yeah, you can't, can you? I said something, He says, but I can't smile like him either. He was not a Van Halen fan. And Van Halen, Page fans are going to come after me. Years later, all of a sudden, Edward Van Halen is the greatest guitar player he's ever heard. You see a lot of that stuff up there now. Oh, Edward was great, and especially after Edward's passing. Oh my God, he was amazing. I loved him. Sorry. Jimmy Page was not easy. Marshall Crenshaw, like a singer-songwriter guy. I never liked his stuff anyway, but he was a dickhead. Donald Fagen, Steely Dan. Oh my God. I wrote a story about him in the Rock on the Rockseller site Behind the Curtain, and they wrote the title of it. This wasn't my title. Trying to get Donald Fagen to smile, and he would never smile.
Yeah.
Or there were a few others. There were some that obviously weren't that bad, but I could tell they didn't want to be there. You know, it didn't mean anything to them. And never once, and I was on many such occasions, I was tempted to do it, was like, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm gone. Go interview yourself. Or, you know, some rude comment.
Go interview yourself.
I never did that, you know. Not that I was the consummate professional, but, you know, I was going to stick it out to the end. You know, look, I'm not saying that even the worst interview, there weren't bits and pieces that were good. But, yeah, I mean, there were some guys, you know, or guys that have maybe been, actually, you know, it's funny. You would think that the guys who had done 100 interviews by then would be the guys who were blasé about it, but they were the professionals. They understood what it was. It was the newer guys, you know, and I ran into that, not a lot, because they tend to be very nice, but for a while I was writing for a site called Ultimate Guitar, which is basically, they covered all kinds of stuff, but it was a lot of metal stuff. So I was interviewing a lot of these metal bands, you know, which was never my thing. I mean, some of these guitar players were amazing. It just wasn't my thing. And they were a little full of themselves, you know. They had a record out, or they were getting a little bit of exposure. But most of them were actually really nice. But long answer to your question, yeah, it happened once in a while, you know. Not often. You try to fight through it. You try to find that one little trigger point where it goes from becoming interviewer and interviewee to two guys just hanging out talking about music. And again, I could feel when that happened. I was able to. I'd done so many interviews, I could just feel that connection, and that's when the good stuff really came. But yeah, you know, it's what is an interviewer really, but somebody who's listening. You know, you're trying to listen, so you're kind of like psychiatrist and analyst, and you know, you're trying to interpret and not interject at the wrong time, and you know, you just learn those things like you do. You know, you've done enough. You know, you try not to jump subjects or go back and forth. It's funny, and I got to stop talking here. But I sat in interviews with some other journalists, and I knew, and these were like guys who had written and stuff for magazines, that the way that they conducted the interview, that it was kind of here and there, that they were losing the interviewee. I mean, I sensed it, and sure enough, I could tell the interviewee losing interest. But so that's my journalism 101, and you know,
Very
if you
cool.
want to really hear it done well, go check out the audiobook.
Yeah. See, you guys?
Guitar player talk.
We're learning stuff. See,
Yeah.
if you listen, you learn. And yeah, don't jump. Like, I mean, exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine. Like, you must wake up every day with some sort of like, or like you hear a song or something, or just scrolling Facebook. Like you must scroll Facebook and you can be like, you have a story for like every post that you're looking at, you know? That's amazing.
That does happen a lot. What I've come to be doing recently is looking up this day in music history, and it just passed, and I don't remember when, but Randy Rhoads, his plane going down. Though I've never interviewed Randy, I wrote a book about him, so I'll write a little bit about that, or somebody's birthday, or talking about the interview. That's pretty fun to do. But a lot of those Facebook posts I see up there, and go on YouTube and I'll see interviews other guys are doing. Go, oh yeah, I remember interviewing Frampton back then, and so yeah, good stuff.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much. As always, man. It's always great to talk to you and to see you and I'll see you. I'll see you at the NAMM show.
Yeah, man.
Next one.
Yeah, definitely. So
we'll have a great time. So you guys check out Steve's YouTube. There'll be a new video dropping pretty soon tonight.
Yes. Dave Mustaine. Actually, pretty cool. You guys watch it and you let me know what you think.
Oh, that's where that started. Dave Mustaine.
Oh, there you go.
Very cool. So, you guys, okay, channel members, thank you so much, you guys, for your continued support for this channel and these shows. I will see you guys tomorrow. You haven't been here yet, have you? I mean, not physically here, but have we talked since I've been in this new room? I was in my living room for years. I'm in I have like a brand new studio.
Yeah. I was looking at. Wow, it's fantastic.
Guitar workbench. I work on guitars on Saturday nights and stuff. I got to build the Steve Rosen signature guitar on this bench, man.
Yeah, you do.
The Rock Hall of Fame will take that.
Exactly.
Cool.
Cool, man.
Cool. Let's see. Well, I'll play you guys out with a really cool channel ID. I have one here from where is it? Is it that one? I got a couple of them. I'll play a couple channel IDs. Steve, don't hang up yet. We'll say goodbye off the air. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you very much.
Links down below. Okay, Rock Cellar, the auction. Make sure you guys buy something.
Backstage Auctions.
In the book.
Buy
Check
the book.
it out. All right, couple quick channel IDs. We'll see you guys later right here on Johnny Beane TV. Bye-bye. You guys, Steve Rosen, what do we have here? We got 78 people watching.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice. Where are you people? You should have been here. I can't do this by myself.
Right on. Can I get this is Steve Rosen, you're watching Johnny Beane TV.
Hey, everybody. This is Steve Rosen. You're watching Johnny Beane TV. Hey.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Hey, guys. NAMM 2023 taking off. Here's Johnny Beane. Watch Johnny Beane TV, the best freaking show on the net, man. I love this guy.
Thank you so much, dude.
You bet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I get a new one real quick? I just realized you're here. Can I get this is Steve Rosen, you're watching Johnny Beane TV?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, how are you? This is Steve Rosen, rock and roll journalist, and you are watching the one and only Johnny Beane TV. Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Click on another video on the screen here. Drop your comments below. And let me know what you think. Check it out right here on Johnny Beane TV. Bye-bye.